The sea. Once upon a time, it was considered the final frontier, and it symbolized the unknown, the foreign, the alien, the dangerous. But over time, humanity learned to tame it, or at least we like to think that. However, the sea knows better, and it occasionally reminds us in the most dramatic and dangerous ways possible that whatever we've come up with are simply workarounds at best. And it is ultimately the sea that is still in control, and so a post-apocalyptic world where virtually all the world's an ocean is both intriguing and not too much of a stretch in terms of story or vision. I think Kevin Costner would agree. And that's where Raft comes in. It's an open world sandbox builder. In fact, it is a very open world, horizon to horizon to be exact, and that puts it right in my wheelhouse. The premise of the game is that the world is a flooded mess with little dry land to be found, kind of like Florida during hurricane season. And survival will mean recovering whatever scraps I can pull out of the ocean or find among the occasional islands I encounter, and then using those bits to build the essential tools and equipment in a world that is in equal parts both lovely and deadly. Now, it's definitely a departure from Minecraft and the games it directly inspired, and frankly, if I'm going to be a little honest here, I'm a bit intimidated. And that's because Raft is hard. It's probably not quite as hard as I think it is, but it is definitely much harder than the other games I've done Let's Play series for. Long ago, before I embarked on this little project, I had bought Raft and I had played it for a grand total of 53 minutes before I uninstalled it in sheer frustration. The game had no true tutorial to speak of, and at the time that I started playing it, documentation, guides, and wikis were few in number and lacked pretty much any useful information. Of course, that was long ago in a galaxy far, well, you get the idea. I mean, between trying to build a bigger raft, which was made all that much more difficult by Bruce the shark tearing off pieces of it slightly faster than I could add them, and pulling in junk to build with, and figuring out what to do with that junk, and actually making useful bits from the recovered junk, all while figuring out a way to provide food and water and remembering to ingest said food and water, it was a bit of a tall order to a green newbie like me. I was drowning, sometimes literally and always metaphorically. However, some years have passed since then, and information about the game is much easier to come by, so I've been able to peruse some online material, and I've learned the absolute basics to survival, and I think I'm ready to give it another go. Now, I expect that I'll fail a few times before I hit my stride, but you'll get to see it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that's what I think Let's Plays are all about. At least the most interesting ones are, in my humble opinion. I actually don't know much else about the game, and for all I know, building a bigger and bigger and theoretically more capable raft might be all there is to it. And I would have no problem with that. I think there will be more than enough to keep me busy just trying to achieve that. However, I suspect there might be more to it, but what exactly that is or how in depth it goes, I have no idea. So if you are an old Raft veteran and you know all the ins and outs of any lore or story that might be in the game, please don't share any of it in the comments. Sit on your hands if you have to, but please don't spoil it for me. I prefer to find these things out the old-fashioned way, by stumbling upon them blindly or having the game smack me across the face with them. However, lore and plot considerations aside, I'm more than happy to hear any tips, ideas, or other tidbits you'd like to share with me in order to help me lead a happier and hopefully longer life in the world of Raft. Now, this is especially true about things I need to do in the first day or even the first 10 minutes. So I invite you to watch this space for future episodes of this series where you will have a front row seat to watch an old guy crash and burn, sunburn that is, while trying not to die of a dehydration while surrounded by an entire planet of water. Now, I can't promise you that you will learn anything useful from this, but I can promise you that you will almost certainly learn many things not to do in this game, and that might be enough. So in the meanwhile, I hope this finds you and yours in good health, good spirits, and perhaps a touch of good fortune. Cheers.